Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hey, everybody. I think your headset might not be plugged in.
Oh, it is.
Oh, I
Does
feel
it
like
seem
I'm
like I'm
hearing
coming
you.
through my
Mm-hmm.
speakers?
Yeah.
Let me.
We're adjusting to this new schedule, guys. So,
Yeah. I'm going to
hang
go
in there with
out
us.
and come back in on this
Okay,
mic and make sure I'm good.
sure. Sometimes tech is just tech. Also, we're getting used to this live schedule, and so we both we just realized just a couple minutes ago that we never scheduled this live. So, if you're here live, I'm really glad you are, and I'm really glad you found us because we definitely forgot to schedule ourselves.
Okay, is that better?
Yes,
Okay.
totes better.
No, it wasn't. I was just moving too fast.
Damn it! I was just explaining that we forgot to schedule this live, and so if you're here live, we really appreciate that because duh, on our part.
Yeah, well, it'll get better. It's just this week is just wild, you know?
It is,
And
yeah.
I'm not worried about us, but I know that we've kind of been a hot mess this week, but it's fine. Part of it is
Yeah,
that we have our first big show on Sunday. And so
yeah,
we've both been running our legs off to be ready for that as well. And
yeah.
holy moly, oh, I had a kiln disaster last night.
Oh no!
And I'm so mad about it.
Oh shit!
A piece of glass blew up in the kiln and ruined 5 other pieces.
Oh no!
Yeah, so of 7 pieces that went into the
Oh,
kiln,
that sucks.
2 of them are coming out intact.
Ah, damn, damn, damn.
And I'm just so mad. And it happens. It is what it is. Like, it's not the end of the world, except for it was.
Right?
I had such a busy day yesterday that I was up until 11 packing that kiln. And then to get up this morning with most of it just gone to shit. Damn it!
That sucks because you worked so hard and there's no recovery.
Well, and glass is never lost. You take your mistakes and you smash them up and you use them as like filler glass and stuff like that. So,
Sure.
like, it's not the end of the world, and at least I'll get some satisfaction out of breaking those motherfuckers. But,
There you go.
but I was so
Take that
upset.
out.
Yeah. So anyway, it's fine. It's probably fine. I would like. It's
Um,
not
I,
even because I was like moving too fast. It's just it just happens sometimes. And
mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Well,
boo,
it just does. But that's all right. We made it.
we made it.
We did.
We're here. Yes. So we have a two-parter today. So rather than a three-parter, we have 2 long parters. So I can totally do jewelry with the broken bits. Yes, there's lots of things to do with it. So
Mm-hmm.
luckily, like all is not lost, but it just pisses me off more than anything, you know.
Oh yeah, that I can understand.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up my video. So I'm going to start today, and I'm going to start with a crime news update.
Or do you want to?
No,
Should we
let's not
call it
worry
more
about it.
misdeeds?
Oh, yeah, it
Okay.
is Mormon misdeeds. Do that.
Okay.
All righty. So, me too, Stephanie. And I dipped into Shanna Gardener this morning and went, holy shit, we have lost some big pieces.
Oh
So
wow.
I dipped into the Shanna Gardner case. So Shanna Gardner is accused of the murder of her ex-husband. She, along with her current husband, as well as her the man they hired, because this was actually a murder for hire. So her estranged
Mm-hmm.
husband's name is Mario Fernandez, and they murdered Jared Bridegan. We have done a full episode on this case before, but I'll give you a quick update. Apparently, Shanna was married to kill him. long before they did. They're back in 2015, and we have some proof of that now. I'm going to share that with you today. But in 2022, Jared went outside on February 16th. He had his 2-year-old daughter, Bexley, strapped in her car seat in the car. He left his house and on his way there, and wasn't very far from his house, and there was a tire in the road. So he got out of the car to move the tire, and he was gunned down with his little child, just helplessly strapped in the car by herself.
This is so diabolical. It's like a cartoon.
Yep.
To
And
think that this is what you would do to get him out of that car.
mhm.
God.
Now she wasn't taken to, or she, Bexley's actually, she has a different mom. He was remarried. So we're talking about his ex-wife who did these things.
Hmm.
The sound is going in and out. What the heck?
Yours was for a minute. It's much better now, though.
Is it better now? Okay, you guys.
Yes, yeah. These guys are catching it on the delay, but yeah, it
Okay.
got real weird there for a minute. Now it's good.
Okay. Now hopefully we're fine. Okay. If not, let me know and I'll switch headsets. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. From my end, it's you're good. No.
Okay. Alrighty. So, but I know these guys are on a delay, so sometimes we hear that after a minute.
Hmm.
So, as we know, then her little child was, or poor little Bexley was taken to the police department alone and was there for several hours before her mom was located and like she was reunited. And then, of course, her poor
That's so
mama is learning
sad.
that her husband has been murdered. And like it's a horrible, horrible case.
It is.
And
God.
then, of course, we learned that down the road, the police put together the pieces that this was a murder for hire. And the person who committed the murderer has already pled guilty and is in prison. But now they're trying Shanna and her estranged husband.
Hmm.
And so this is slowly moving through the courts. They're getting ready to go to trial here pretty soon. And Shanna is a member of the Mormon Church or has been, and her parents own Stampin' It Up. Stampin' It Up is a Utah-based scrapbooking company, and they are very wealthy. And Shanna is an heir to their business, and she has a set of twins that were her children with Jared. And since her passing or his passing and her incarceration, her parents have the children and they will not let anyone see them on Jared's side of the family. There was actually just another recent filing in that. There's a big battle in court about those kids because, well, that sucks and it's totally unfair. And also, those twins have two siblings, littler kids, with the
Yeah.
stepmom, and they want to see them and be together. And so there's this ugly fight happening with
Mm.
Shanna's parents, which honestly, like, really, that is so petty. That's so shitty to do.
Right. Like, what's best for the kids here?
Right.
Shouldn't that be the concern? But it doesn't seem like it is.
No, it's not. Clearly, there was no concern for any of the kids in all of this. But
Yeah. That
while
he
we
was
were,
shot with his little girl with him. God, that's
oh, it's
awful.
horrifying. While we were on Daybell, there was a big hearing because she was trying yet again to get bond because her children need her. Really?
Listen, lady.
I don't really think so, Shanna. I
They
just
need you to stay
really
away
don't.
from them, is really what they need.
Hmm. And you're going to go to prison forever, dude. So, really, like, no, they don't. You just,
Yeah.
no, they don't. Uh, and there were some other things that were argued. There has been a big argument to try to remove the prosecution because of some discovery issues. And the judge has
Is
actually
this just a thing every
precluded.
case does?
Oh, yeah. Yep. The judge has actually precluded some evidence because of the violations of attorney client privilege. So there have been some
Ooh.
problems here. But
Okay, that is problematic.
I was listening to that hearing. This happened 3 weeks ago, but I was listening to it this morning and heard some morsels that I thought you guys would be interested in. The sound is not amazing, it's pretty tinny. So what you can hear is the clerk click clacking away on her keyboard.
Oh,
That's what all the clicking is when you hear it. So unfortunately, that's just how it goes. But I even made an attempt to clean it up, and frankly, I made it worse. So I just put it back. Next time I'll just send it to you. But
Look who came to visit.
oh my goodness.
Here's Mimi.
Look at Sandy's
It's
face.
usually Sandy. Yeah, they
She's like, what
they
do
are
you
not
think you're
friends.
doing?
So yeah, Sandy came chasing me, knowing what was about to happen, and Mimi was like, "Well, I'm coming too. The internet needs to know me too. I'm cute as hell." Huh.
Hilarious.
So
That
anyway,
glare from
we get 2
Sandy was
cats today.
everything. Yeah.
It was. If you hear a little slap fight later, that's because that's what these two tend to do. They fight over me. So.
Mm-hmm. So as it turns out, clear back in 2015, Shanna made friends with a woman named Kim that lived in her ward. And she and Kim actually at that point started conspiring about how to kill Jared.
What?
They had a code name for him that I think
Oh,
you guys
no.
will find very interesting.
Oh no.
You'll never guess. In
What
all
is
the
it?
world, you will never guess.
Mm.
Funeral potatoes. No shit.
Oh
Yep.
my god, that's awful, and also kind of creepily hilarious. But wow, funeral potatoes.
Yep. So she has Jose Baez as her estate or her lawyer, and he is fighting super hard. And yeah, you know who he is. And I mean, this is the lawyer from the Casey Anthony case. But
Wow, yeah.
at any rate, so what I'm going to show you is a clip of an interview on the stand with them trying to get some evidence in with a detective from that's on this case, and he's showing and discussing a series of text messages between Kim and Shanna, and then Kim and someone else at Shanna's bidding. This is 2 parts that I spliced together. I took out a 30-minute argument between the state and the defense about whether or not those text messages from between Kim and someone else should be brought in. But they made it. So that's
Oh, I think we have to explain funeral potatoes. Most people got it, but I think some people are a little confused.
oh, funeral potatoes are a very well-known casserole in the Mormon world. It's something that is made for like literally, and you guys probably just call it potato casseroles, but around here it's funeral
Probably.
potatoes because every funeral luncheon at the church that's put on by the Relief Society or the High Society, if you're Mr. Pryor, is it's something you will always find. Anyway, that's what funeral potatoes are. It just cracked me up. So anyway,
And
this
that
is fairly long. It's about 13 minutes long, but it's so worthwhile to listen to how this started. So the state won the argument because they basically, this was kind of a 404B argument, I thought, in some ways. Not really, I guess. It was more of a, why should this get to be put in when she's not even a defendant in this case? But they were trying to, again, show what the common theme was here because there are some conspiracy charges, and that's what they were trying to put together. And they did finally win the argument.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and pull this up and listen to it, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
As well as the involvement of Ms. Gardner and Mr. Fernandez alone.
That's correct.
I want to go through some of what your investigation revealed after you last spoke with Ms. Gardner. And for the court's information, in the state's exhibit, there's a composite 7. It's an extraction report of a cell phone belonging to a woman named Kim Jensen. Detective Johns, who is Kim Jensen in relation to Ms. Gardner?
Kim Jensen was a lady that Miss Gardner met when she moved to Jacksonville. They were a member of the same ward or church, and they became very good friends, by all means, best friends.
Did their friendship begin before Jared Brightigan and Miss Gardner were divorced?
No, their friendship did begin before their divorce, correct?
So she knew her when she being Miss Jensen, knew Miss Gardner when she was married to Jared Brightigan.
Yes, that's correct. And in fact, she knew Jared longer than she knew Miss Gardner.
Based on your investigation, we see your text messages. At some point, did you obtain a cell phone download of Kim Jensen's phone?
We did.
And was there contact between Miss Jensen and Miss Gardner?
There was extensive contact on a daily basis between the two of them,
For how long?
at least going back to 2015.
And how frequent was their contact with each other?
It was numerous times a day, phone calls, text messages,
Voice notes?
all kinds of things.
And from your review of, not relevant to the homicide necessarily, but for context, your review of their contact, did they seem to have a very close and open relationship?
It would certainly appear that way.
They talk about the most intimate details of their lives,
Yes,
the most mundane details of their lives.
yes.
So we're looking at here State's Composite Exhibit 8. These are text messages on Ms. Jensen's phone that you found between her and Shanna Gardener dating back to 2015. And we're going to start there and work our way forward to 2022. I know it's difficult to read. Can you please describe for the court the conversation, tone, and tenor between Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen regarding Jared that began around this time period?
The context of this particular chat chain is Shanna telling Ms. Jensen that Matt is ready to come over there and to talk to him, meaning Mr. Bredigan. She said it would not get physical, and maybe then moves on to basically say, you know, that they could maybe encourage it to become physical at some point.
Ms. Stifler, what did you identify this as?
This would be State's Composite Exhibit 8.
8, okay. Thank you.
Sorry, my computer decided to reset its password in the middle of this.
Okay.
In 2015, what was the status of Shanna Gardner and Jared Bredigan's relationship?
In the beginning of 2015, they were still married, and they did eventually divorce in 2015.
Moving on to page 2 of State's Composite Exhibit 8, more text between Ms. Gardner and Kim Jensen, and what are they talking about here?
It says Matt was ready to come over here today and talk to him. It wouldn't get physical yet, but I tell him if these things happen X, Y, and Z, then A, B, and C will happen to him. And if he calls the cops, Matt would know, and A, B, C would happen. He said, I tell him he can thank the beautiful woman he's leeching off of that he is even still alive, because if it were up to him, he would have disappeared months ago. I told him your comment about the casserole, ha ha ha. We both had a good laugh.
Okay, and then Ms. Jensen replies, and she talks at some point in this text here about funeral potatoes. Did that phrase become relevant to your investigation?
It did. There were two phrases that kind of were a continuation during all of their text messages. One of those referred to as a casserole, also aka funeral potatoes, or then there was the phrase of doing magic.
right.
Sorry.
So sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Let's talk about the funeral potatoes casserole. Did these words, were they used frequently in conversations between Shanna Gardener and Kim Jensen?
Yes, they were.
And in what context were they used?
In reference to the death of Jared.
So there's more text here about funeral potatoes. These are, in fairness, everybody blows off steam when they're mad at their ex-husband.
Absolutely.
Okay. But at some point, did these texts continue and escalate to the point where they became significant to your investigation?
There was a continuation of this type of texting between them throughout their entire relationship that we were aware of, starting in 2015 through at least 2021. And I would say that the messages get much more vulgar than this.
Okay. So here we have, again, on State's Composite Exhibit 8, text messages from 2015. Shanna Gardener saying, I would happily watch them give him the lethal objection. They're talking about they would love to see him get the death penalty and they could make a casserole. And moving on, again, in State's Composite Exhibit 8, more text messages. And in these ones, there's a discussion. Can you describe to the court where this discussion develops?
These are essentially theories of what they could do to, Ms. Jensen refers to Jared as stupid.
Okay, so stupid, and we'll see that in other text messages. That was a nickname that Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen used to refer to Jared Brodigan.
Correct.
Okay. So what direction does this conversation take?
It's essentially just more about ways that Ms. Gardner is unhappy with Mr. Brodigan, that she would like for him no longer to be alive, and then they talk about casserole, and then they will move on to other things as far as how to cause his death.
These are difficult to read. This is State's Exhibit Composite 9. These are texts in 2016. And the next slide, they'll be zoomed in a little bit. But here we see Ms. Gardner. This is the first time she brings up the word hitman in her discussions with Ms. Jensen. Can you describe for the court what this conversation centers around and how it develops?
Essentially, Ms. Gardner's upset. She says it's too late to get a hitman. I'm serious. I think Ms. Jensen is trying to kind of talk her down a little bit. And then they move on to basically where they start talking about, does she know anyone that could actually carry out this plan?
And we see that down here in the bottom. You can draw on the screen too if there's anything you want to circle. That Ms. Jensen says, I know Sue's husband knows people. Ms. Gardner replies, and then replies, I'm not even joking, I want him gone, and the conversation goes on from there. At the time they're having this conversation, and here's a zoomed in version of it, simultaneous with this conversation, did you also find text messages between Ms. Jensen and the person that they were discussing finding them a hitman in the previous slide?
Correct. So while this conversation was going on, Kim Jensen reaches out to the person that they're referring to and asks if she knows anyone that can do magic, i.e. make someone disappear, referring to do they know anyone.
And one quick second. These text messages between Ms. Jensen and the third party are referenced in both the exhibit we just looked at and text messages that you found later, correct?
That's correct.
And in your conversations with Ms. Jensen, she disclosed to you that she reached out to this person because of her conversations with Ms. Gardner.
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to move into evidence that's been marked by State's K as State's Exhibit 10.
Any objection?
I'm sorry, as State's J as State's Exhibit 18.
Your Honor, same objection. I don't see anything in here where Ms. Gardner is asking Ms. Jensen to reach out to Sue. I don't know how that can be, what Ms. Jensen did can be used against Ms. Gardner at this point. Again, we're talking about things that are 6 years prior to the killing of Jared Brodigan. I don't believe there's any allegation from the state whatsoever that this led to anything, or that even in the state's theory.
All right, I'll overrule the defense objection. J will be marked as State's Exhibit 18. All right, I'm sorry. You may proceed.
And Detective Johns, we are speaking about older messages, but in your course of your investigation, did this type of discussion continue between Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen all the way up to Jared's death?
It does.
And in these messages, they use what you mentioned earlier to be another one of their favorite code words to describe Jared's killing, which would be magic, magician, disappearing act, Chris Angel.
Correct.
So here we are at State's Exhibit now 18. These are text messages between Ms. Jensen and SL. And in these messages, Ms. Jensen is asking her if she knows someone, and she says, Shanna needs a guy. And what direction does this conversation take?
Basically, Ms. Jensen's reaching out to Ms. Lee and stating, hey, Shanna needs a guy who does permanent disappearing acts. And she says that she needs a magician for stupid, referring to Mr. Brodigan, and asks if she knows anyone who can basically accomplish this.
And then the messages between Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen following that conversation, do they again reference this idea of magic or magician?
Yes, they're initially talking about ways to destroy Mr. Bredigan, in reference to feeding him things that might give him a heart attack. And then Shanna makes the comment that the best time for quote unquote magic is when they're amicable.
And then here, she and Ms. Jensen are discussing the potential individuals they could contact, including someone named Matt.
Yeah, she makes reference to Matt, who she had talked to earlier, who was the trainer from the YMCA that she had the alleged affair with.
Okay. We don't need to get into that for purposes of this hearing. They're referring to someone named Nick, and she says between one of those four. So we have several people, Matt, Nick, the individual that she was speaking to Ms. Lee about, and they start referring to them by code names. So M, and then the next slide, which is there are 2 days of follow-up, July 21st and July 22nd. This is Ms. Gardner in the dark gray, and she is asking Ms. Jensen, do I legit ask Matt about people? Ms. Jensen says to wait, she says nothing, and then the next day, they're again asked, can I ask M today? And to see what H says. Now these text messages, this is not the only contact that Ms. Gardner and Ms. Jensen are having. They're not just solely communicating by text, are they?
No, they're communicating via phone and other ways as well.
So in some of these text messages, are there points where the conversation ends and a phone call begins?
Correct.
And we're going to move on to some 2021 text messages in a moment, but I want to talk about how this kind of discussion continues with Ms. Gardner.
Okay. And it goes
Ooh.
on and on and on. But that I didn't want to show you a 2-hour video today, but
Well, you know.
however, the whole thing is really interesting, and I'll post it as a standalone later so that you can
Yeah.
see,
Wow.
you know, all of it. But at any rate, I thought that was pretty fascinating. So with some chick she met in her
Yes.
ward clear back in 2015, she was already conspiring.
And texting Shanna needs a guy? Like, what? Like, do you
Yeah.
have anyone in your life that you could text that to and they would know what that means? Like,
Well,
holy shit.
Not since my brother-in-law died. Oh, okay, never mind.
I mean, right, but
But no, right? Yeah.
yeah,
When
like you're
when somebody says I got a guy, you do got a guy that would know how to unalive somebody?
what the
Wowza.
hell?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Yeah.
So the
And the funeral
prosecution is
potatoes. Oh my god.
yeah.
They think they're being sneaky with that? These Mormon chicks? How do they think they're being sneaky with that?
I'm starting to think that a raccoon made the funeral potatoes.
Me as well. When you said you will never believe what they were referring to him as, or his murder, I was like, please don't say Hiplos. Oh my god.
I thought you were worried it was the storm.
Oh Jesus, no.
But
But
then the
funeral
magic
potatoes.
part, and this isn't actual
Yes.
magic. This isn't like, you know, all the energy work and stuff like that, you know, and the ratings and all that shit that was going on in Daybell. This is truly uh just a code word for killing him. The magic, you know, making him disappear. The magician's act, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we can put a section in Discord for recipe swaps. That's a great
It's
idea.
already there.
Oh, is it
We
there?
already have one.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Just go look. There's one there. We set it up, I don't know, a while back.
So good. Okay. And I'll share my funeral potato recipe as well.
There you go. Tina says she
Anyway.
put shredded parsnips in hers. I think that sounds amazing.
Wow.
I love
Interesting.
parsnips.
Yeah. Oh. We might have to try that.
Right?
So that was pretty much it. Well, it's not it. So she did not get bond. But
Good.
they did keep the prosecution in, but they did throw some evidence out. Not this evidence, some other stuff that had to do with it more had to do with the co-defendant actually than it did with her. But now the defense is, or the prosecution is saying that they have some new evidence that's just been uncovered from jail calls that they are also going to try to get on the record. And
Oh,
that's going to
wow.
be happening at the end of this month. So we'll keep a really close eye on that as well because this is getting wild. This has been a
Yeah, it
wild case from
is.
the get-go, but
Holy hell.
m- the one thing you can count on for sure with Shanna Gardner is some entitled bullshit. She really knows how to well, Donna Adelson it up. Yeah.
Yes, she does. That's terrifying.
Mhm. Yep. So, we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll keep, updating that one, but I wanted to, get it a good deep dive because I knew some big stuff happened while we were I keep saying out. We weren't out, we were here, but, well, my brain was out. Yeah.
Right. Well,
So,
and
with that
what is this trial going to be like? Wow.
oh. Oh, it's gonna be something, and we'll be here for every second of that one. That'll probably I'm not sure when they're going to trial. I'm gonna have to look that up. I think that, it's actually not that far away, but we will definitely be here for that because it's gonna be a big one. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So you'll probably can expect us to be talking about this one quite a bit leading up to that because that'll be one that streams on this channel. I
Yes, it
think.
will.
I think.
I
So,
think so, yeah.
yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna kick the mic over to you for some serial killer news.
Oh, my goodness, yes. A while back, it's been, I don't know, a while, we started talking to you about Jesse Calhoun.
Mhm.
Jesse Calhoun is a suspected serial killer out of Multnomah County, Oregon. This is Jesse.
Mhm.
Jesse has now officially been charged with the murders of these three women. So he's actually suspected of killing five, but these three he has now officially been uh, charged for.
Charged. Yeah.
Where's my brain? So it's Joanna Speaks, Charity Perry, and Bridget Webster are these three victims. And then there are two others that I'll talk to you about in a minute. That it's not, he's still a suspect in their murders as well, but he hasn't been charged for them yet. So if you remember, Jesse Calhoun is the guy who was in prison and got his sentence commuted along with a bunch of other men that were in prison because they helped fight wildfires in Oregon.
Mhm.
And for that reason, the governor commuted his sentence. Here's the sad news about that. He was out for not less than a year. And in that time, he killed maybe five women. Maybe there's more. We don't know, but for sure three.
Yeah.
Before he was caught for something, I don't even know what it is. I can't seem to find anywhere where it is that his parole was revoked
Mhm.
and he was sent back into prison. So he's in prison, but he was scheduled to be released like very shortly.
Jesus.
And so they had to get these charges. So they actually were investigating him on these cases while he's been back in prison. All of these women were killed in 2023, in March and April of 2023. And then their bodies were all found shortly after. He moved all three of their bodies from where he killed them and put them in culverts and places like that that were
Mhm.
kind of out in the country, kind of around the Portland area.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he'd had his sentence commuted, and I mean, it's not that the governor could have known, but maybe he was not the kind of offender that should have been released. I don't know. It's
Right?
really sad and really scary.
Yeah.
He was in court yesterday. He has pled not guilty to these crimes, and so they just continue to investigate him. And fortunately, he has, been he's been delayed in his release from prison. Let's just say it that way. They're not letting him out anytime.
Good.
because they are still looking for information around Kristen Smith and Ashley Reel.
Wow.
And although he hasn't been charged yet in those deaths, it is believed that he's the suspect.
Yeah.
So just very, very scary. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. A lot of people are really mad at the governor for doing that. It wasn't directed at him specifically. It was a bunch of prisoners who helped fight in the Oregon fires that they did this with. But yikes, it is something to consider for sure. The idea that just letting people out early, I don't know. I think they didn't know quite what kind of a criminal they had on their hands when they had. Obviously, he wasn't expected to go out and commit a bunch of violent crime.
No, of course not. But still, whew, it's a terrible one.
It really is. It really is. But it may bring some closure for families of these women's bodies who
Yeah.
were, their family members have been killed. They know they're dead, but they have no idea why or what happened to them. And this might
Yeah.
at least be a little bit of closure for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Gran? A lot of serial killers from the 80s come from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I think partially it's because it's so rural, so many tiny little towns, lots of wilderness. Because this was kind of in eastern Oregon where most of this went on, and eastern Oregon is a whole lot like Idaho.
Yeah.
It's very low populations, so people can travel from place to place without really being noticed.
Right.
It's a scary, scary thing. Shannon says, I feel like Oregon is lax on some laws. I have a stalker that hit and run killed an 18-year-old kid in PDX, and she only served 2 months in prison. Wow.
Wow.
Why was he in prison to begin with? I cannot find the answer to that question. If anybody knows, please tell us. But I can't seem to find what he was in prison for. But I don't think that it was murder. So if anybody knows, tell me. I'll keep looking, but I have not been able to answer that question. Or what he did to get back into prison. That has not really been out there yet either. But they have been authorities have been holding the information about this case real close to the chest.
Oh, yeah.
When he was first suspected, and they were not saying a word. And there's only a cause of death on one of the victims. It was blunt force trauma. And there's a lot we don't know about how these women died, about why he killed them in one place and then moved them to another, what that was about. Like we don't know where necessarily that they were killed exactly.
Yeah.
And how we know that they were moved. Like there's a lot of stuff that they're holding on to pretty tightly, but I'm gonna bet that's because there's some grand jury action going.
Yeah.
When things get really, really secretive with a case like this, it's because it's gonna be presented in a grand jury. They're just making sure that they can indict him and hang on to him. So we're going to keep watching this very closely. It's not very far away from us, actually.
It isn't.
So it's kind of a little scary. Just, we talk about Utah a lot. Well, the other side of us is Oregon. So, and that Western Oregon area, man, it is pretty desolate and pretty low populations, tiny little towns. So see why people can sneak around and do stuff like this and get away with it for a while.
Oh, definitely. Well, and up there too, well, I guess maybe not in that area. I was going to say so wooded, not in there actually, but
around Portland it is, and that's where their bodies were found.
Yeah.
So he was in Multnomah County, I think, and then was moved to Portland. So he's been moved facilities to where this case is actually being tried.
Got it. Okay.
This can get going.
Yeah. Well, good. Good. Very sad for those families, but I am glad they're getting some some kind of closure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Bo-
that's scary.
bombshell stuff in Rex Heuermann today too, by the way.
Yes, I haven't even had a chance to fully catch up on it yet, but a lot. So
I
we'll be
read
talking
partway
about
through
him
the
again
brief,
next
and
week.
holy shit. Yep. Yeah, we'll get there next week on
Yes.
that. Yeah. Speaking
We
of
sure
serial
will.
killers, yeah,
Right? Yeah.
a lot going on.
Fully indicted ones now.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So good that at least some pieces are being put together. So as always, all the love to all of the victims' families. There was one more thing I wanted
Definitely.
to share about Jared Bridegan, and that is
Ah.
that his wife Kirsten founded the Bridegan Foundation. And I'm going to share a link for you guys so you can check it out. But if you're listening and not
That's
watching,
cool.
it's brideganfoundation.org. And what she did is it was so upsetting that her poor little Bexley was in the police station for many hours before she was reunited with her mom. And they didn't have tools there to take care of her, like a diaper that fit, or a sippy cup, or
Oh.
a toy, or, just anything. And the
Yeah.
police officers did their level best to take care of this poor little thing while they found her mama, but they didn't really have what they needed, to take care of her. And so, in trying to make a few glasses of lemonade out of all these lemons, Kirsten decided to form a foundation that provides what they call a Bex box to all of the
Oh.
police departments. I believe in Florida is her goal, to that have some tools in them to for little children when kids end up in their office for some reason or in their department for some reason, that they
Oh
have the
wow.
things that they might need to take care of them. And so
Yeah.
I put a link here so that you guys can read up about it and
That's
yeah, be a
really
part of that
sweet
if you would
and
like to. Yeah.
definitely something that probably they all should have. You never know
Yeah.
when you're going to end up with a child in your care for a little while.
Yeah. In her words from their website, each Bexley box contains essentials and comforting items to calm children in times of crisis.
Wow.
So good on you,
That's
Kirsten.
cool.
You're a rock star. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. All righty. Well, we'll have our peepers on all of it. So
Gosh, won't we?
yeah, this is our last live. Hey, Carolina, and Stephanie. Oh, Stephanie wanted to know how many murders constitutes a serial killer.
It is 3, but they have to be unrelated to each other, separate crimes,
Hmm.
and they have to be generally people who are not known to the offender. And then there's other stuff too, but those are the main criteria.
That's why Chad and Lori are not considered serial killers, because
Yeah.
those all had a common theme
Yes.
of not just a common theme. I mean, you can have a serial killer with a common theme, but they're people that don't know each other and were killed in different instances and stuff. But
Yeah. And this is
yeah.
yeah. So Huerman definitely would be classified a serial killer. So would
Hmm.
Calhoun
Hmm.
for those reasons.
Yeah. And so many others. Yeah, Stephanie, you bet. That's always kind of a confusing one. I know a lot of people have asked us, and I know you didn't, so I want to make that clear. But why Chad isn't being called a serial killer? Why Lori's not being called a serial killer? My God, why
Yeah.
Alex isn't being called a serial killer? But that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. Very strange to think of somebody doing just going out and killing strangers. I mean, not that killing family is okay, but like there's a whole story around that. But when you just go out and kill random people,
Yeah.
that's a whole other level of scary.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a super fun
Thank you,
weekend.
Stephanie.
Mars and I
Yes.
are field managers for a softball tournament for the next 2 days, so that's going to be something.
Oh goodness, just in time for it to hit the high 80s here.
Yes, just in time for it to get hot. Yeah, and then of course we have our big show on Sunday. I'm extremely excited about, and just
Yes.
hope I have anything to show for myself by the time we get there. But
I bet you will, but damn, that killing accidents suck.
yeah. Any way to send tips by mail? We don't have a PO box, but maybe we should.
Hmm.
We'll work on that, Carolyn. We'll work on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, stay hydrated, and for me, it is keeping my calcium up, because I have a rare disease. I don't know if you guys know this. You probably do, but I have a rare disease that my body does not retain calcium, and you need calcium for life, and so to
Hmm.
live. And so, yeah, when it gets hot and I'm out in the sun, that's when my calcium just wants to go to shit. So anyway, for me, the first heat of the summer is always a huge reminder, like, hey, lady, you got to take more calcium. You've got to drink electrolytes. If you feel awful, that's why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding. Ugh.
So that's it for me. And yes, sunscreen, thank you, because I always burn. I'll always burn on the
Katie,
first day. Yeah.
and you have raccoon eyes all
Yeah.
summer.
Big raccoon eyes. I've avoided it so far. I got a little some when we camped, but not so bad. But yeah, it's always that way with softball tournaments. I will burn the first day and then remember and wear sunblock the second day, and then it's too freaking late. Yes. We'll do that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I've been thinking for a while we probably should do that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Who said? Kelly said it's going to be 114 in Arizona. Dear God, Kelly. Oh,
Oh,
already.
all all of the ice cream to you, Kelly, because holy
Yes.
hell, I
Hmm.
cannot imagine that heat. Ooh, don't
And
want
the
to
ices
imagine
too. Did you guys? There's this cool thing. I saw it on TikTok Shop. Then I found it on Amazon. I haven't ordered it yet, but I'm going to. It's this little like rubbery plastic tube thing that wraps around your neck. And to activate it with whatever chemicals are in it, you just run it in cold water. So you don't have to freeze it. You
Oh,
just run it in cold water and it
mm,
freezes. And then you throw it on the
wow.
back of your neck and it cools you. And then once it's thawed out, you just put it back in cold water and it freezes again.
And it freezes again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't that seem
I
like
have
something
not
we
seen
need?
that before. Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
I know. I'm going to
That
order
sounds
some.
rather wonderful.
Yeah, that definitely seems like something we need. Oh my goodness. Look at this. So Scott's been playing in the kiln and trying to save some of our my broken things. That one actually turned out
Oh,
really good.
oh yeah, it did.
That one turned. This is the one piece that did not get broken
So
of mine.
cute.
Yeah. Oh, that's not terrible.
Oh,
That works.
those are
Wow, you
great.
are you're a miracle worker. Good job. They're plant steaks, in case you're wondering. That's what
They're really
they're for.
cute.
And they're wet and dripping on me. Because I'm guessing they just came right off the glass cutter. Thank you so much. That makes me so happy. So all is not
See?
lost.
Less loss. That's great. Those are really pretty.
Hooray! Yeah. All righty. Oh, Lena said, have we watched the interviews with the jurors from Chad's trial? I've watched most of them, not all of them. I think they were
I've
sitting there
watched some
thinking
of
the
them.
same shit we were. Yeah.
They really were. It did my heart good to know that they were seeing through that bullshit just like everybody else was.
Hmm.
It's
Yep.
good stuff.
Yep. That's what we wanted to know. And I think it's funny because we were talking about that here in our chats. Like, do you think the jury thinks this is just complete bullshit? Yes, they were.
Yeah.
About Garth and Emma, they said they sounded coached, and we didn't believe a word they said.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's
That's
like
what
they
we thought.
were had memorized paragraphs of shit and
Hmm.
had been told for 4 years what to say.
Hmm. Also, big surprise, they didn't like getting constantly yelled at or yelled towards by John Pryor. They felt like he was way too aggressive and that he was
Hmm.
disrespectful frequently to other people in the courtroom, and they didn't like it.
Yeah. Boy, we tried
Yeah.
to tell you, Pryor. We tried and tried and tried, but
Hmm.
whatever, buddy.
Ain't nobody likes that. Nobody likes that.
No.
And when you are kind of a prisoner to the room, you know, you
Yeah.
have to be there every day. You have to be there for all of it. You have to listen to all of it. That level of harshness, you're already hearing horror. And that
Yeah.
level of harshness is probably way too much to take. Yeah, one of the female jurors felt like he continued to stare her down. Yeah.
It's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've told you, because we've been in the courtroom with him before, his demeanor is odd and he
Mm-hmm.
does not know his social cues are zero.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Connie, I still did not find out what time this is at. I really should, since I know, we kind of need to know.
We
Oh,
need
no.
to know
Yes,
what
I do.
time to be
Hold
there.
on. Hold on. I have an invite.
Oh.
Here's the Facebook invite. Oh, it's 12. Oh, my God. Good thing we looked. It's 12 to 7.
You said 9 to 4. Oh my God.
If we would have showed up there to set up at 8, Everyone would have been real mad at me. Oh, I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
happy. Actually, I'm so happy. The early
Well,
morning
that's
fairs
good.
actually kill us both. So
Yeah, I don't
there's
like
an
it.
invite if you're local and you're planning on coming. That's all of the deets. But 12 to 7. That's the greatest news I've had today. Yeah,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
I like it.
Tina has frog togs. Oh, Tina, so did Alex.
She says she has Frog Tog's chili pads.
Mhm.
So they must be a cold thing, like what you were talking about.
Yeah. I don't know the address, but I think it's in the invite, Connie. Yeah.
Prior to
Alrighty.
get convicted in 2012 for battery. Yes,
Yeah.
he did. It was pled down from sexual assault
Mhm.
charge. So
Yep.
yes, he did. So he's creepy, and everybody knows it, especially that jury.
In the conference room of his office. That's where that crime happened.
Yes. Yikes. But
Yep.
see, I think that is why he identifies so well with Chad,
Mhm.
because his defense was that it was consensual.
Mhm.
And so he's been duped by some vixen woman.
Mhm.
I'm telling you,
Mhm.
he identifies with Chad because of that.
Yeah, she was 19. She
Yeah.
was 19, and she says that she thought she was coming to interview for a job. He says he paid her. Yeah.
Yeah. Gross.
Yep. Super
Super duper
uncool.
gross.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, for reals, I have to get back to other work. So I got to finish making my spinners. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we'll go ahead and go. So we'll be back on Monday at 6. So
Yes.
just a quick reminder of our schedule before we get out of here. I know that's going to be confusing for a minute, but I think we're getting it there. Mondays at 6, Tuesdays at 3, Wednesdays at 7, and Thursdays at 3. So they are all live streams and just back to our regular format for now until a trial comes up that we are going to stream, such as Shanna Gardner. And then
Yeah.
we'll be doing that. But until then, here we are. And there may be others. I've got my eyes open, but there's a lot going on.
Oh yeah. There are a lot of things coming up that we're gonna want to cover. I think.
Hmm. Yep.
I think because
Oh,
honestly, I don't think Lori Vallow's trial is going to be until next year. Honestly,
I would be
after the
real surprised.
conversation in that hearing yesterday, I don't think so.
But real quickly, this is the longest departure in history. I'm sorry, but Meg has an answer for your question.
Oh,
Calhoun was due to be released from state prison, where he was returned last year to finish serving a 4-year term for assaulting a police officer, trying to strangle a police dog, burglary, and other charges.
wow. Thank you, Meg.
Wow. Thank you so much, Meg.
Wow. I am pretty surprised that somebody who assaulted a police officer was released, given early release.
And
That's
tried to strangle a police dog.
yeah,
To hell with you, Jesse.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All righty. Well, that's it. So we'll be back Monday. You guys have a great weekend. Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty to tell you and talk about when we
Hmm.
come back. So this has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.